Finally, we encourage youngers to engage the animal agriculture issue in the UNFCCC process. For example, they can make recommendations to improve agricultural practices. We believe that this is one of the most effective ways in reaching out to higher levels of authority in the international framework. As we have shown in this presentation, animal agriculture and climate change are intricately linked issues, especially in terms of deforestation, emissions, water, and food security. That is why, if youngers want to effectively deal with climate change, they should start looking into the animal agriculture issue. Besides, given that youth could be facilitating unsustainable and inhumane agricultural practices through our consumption patterns, youngers need to step in to hold fellow youth accountable for their actions. We want to emphasize that knowing and thinking about the issue are merely the first steps that youngers should adopt. More importantly, we urge youngers to go beyond these building blocks to act on the issue with the fervor they have for climate change. So we've come to the end of the presentation, and we hope that you gain a better understanding of the animal agriculture issue and see greater relevance in addressing the issue through finance, women and gender, and youth development. So thank you, and we appreciate any questions you might have.
Amanda Green.
I have a question for the finance group. You mentioned that the mission of the World Bank is to fight poverty. And you drew a connection between intensive animal agriculture and poverty. But what are you going to say to the World Bank when they say to you, well, if we're going to do animal agriculture at all, which you're not saying we shouldn't, then we might as well do it intensively so we can create more food and thereby drive down the cost of food and feed more people and fight poverty.
Well, I would argue that funding industrial agriculture is actually counterintuitive to their mission to reduce poverty, because industrial agriculture places such a significant impact on increasing greenhouse gas emissions and climate change. So it's actually not creating the desired outcomes that they want for the long term.
I think you might have said this and I just missed it, but what's your definition of industrial?
We define it as consolidated industrial operation that produces food in high volumes to maximize profits with little or no regard to the environment, food security, or animal welfare.
So it's not so easy to know what that means. Can there be industrial organic farming in that definition?
That would focus more on livestock intensification, especially in our paper. We use that as the main discipline.
If according to the FAO, the livestock sector is actually responsible for about 18% of greenhouse gas emissions in carbon equivalent. If it is such a big issue, how come how come leaders around the world are not focused on this? How come this isn't on the radar for so many policymakers? I mean, for you guys, what do you think the main issue is?
The problem that comes with agriculture is that it's such a vast topic, and it's dealt with on a regional basis, on a national basis, and the individual problems and the historical patterns of land use, the management, integrating like the species of the crops that they're using and the types of farming that they're using in general is very difficult to implement into policy. So I think that that's why it's difficult to get onto an international framework. But we think that livestock overall, there are consistent ways of management. There are general trends that countries do use. So we found that as a compelling issue to unify countries together in order to standardize or help move these practices towards more sustainable ways. but in general, like agriculture in general is such a vast topic that's very difficult to come to agreement on.
Something we also talked about a lot is the role of carbon dioxide in attacking climate change. And so a lot of the international city policies so far have been geared mostly toward addressing carbon dioxide and not the greenhouse gas equivalent of animal agriculture. So that was a big part of our papers.
I guess if you could clarify what your group's position is a little more on how central or not animal welfare is in this. There's kind of this tension because it seems like I understand that if you're presenting to the World Bank or whomever, you're not going to emphasize that there's a lot of animal suffering and you should care about that. So but you mention it, so I can't tell if this is kind of like a, oh, by the way, like there's all these externalities, there's health, there's greenhouse gas emissions, and animals suffer a lot, and we shouldn't be allowing animals to suffer, or is that something that you mean to incorporate as one of the platforms by which you would sell this, but it just, and if so, it didn't come out that much in the talk. I'm just curious what the role of that is.
Well, it's there because one of our clients was HSI, so we kind of needed that to apply to their goal because their main concern is animal welfare. Although it might not have been our major concern, I think it still ties in with our humane and sustainable agriculture because if it's sustainable, then chances are it kind of goes hand in hand with the way animals are being treated. Also, I know for our group, HSI was one of our clients. It was part of because we had very focused groups of people that we were targeting to. Like for example, we were trying to target gender groups, and we found that even though animal welfare is an important issue, it wasn't necessarily the best way of engaging our particular group. So we wanted to definitely include it, but we didn't want it to feel like it was kind of just placed in there because it had to be. So we didn't focus on it that much, but we acknowledge that it's important. But it was maybe the best platform for some of us to engage the groups that we were targeting.
So if you're going to move away from industrial livestock production, but not advocate for not eating livestock, then you're going to need a lot more space, right? And there's a huge trade-off with that. Is there actually enough space to move away from industrial livestock production, produce the same amount of meat, and not deforest pretty much everything? Did you guys look at those trade-offs about like the actual amount of land you would need to get rid of industrial agriculture and still keep eating meat at the rate that we are?
If we look at the rate we're going now, I know that in order to provide the food that we need to have for the population will increase by, I think it's 34% by 2050. We'll need the equivalent of land area to like Brazil, I think it is, in order to facilitate that. So, yeah, that's, one of the issues is like how do you, stop using industrialized agriculture without continuing to exacerbate deforestation and stuff, and a lot of it just has to do with personal choice. Obviously it's not that easy, but I think we found that it's just like little changes, and also I know we thought of the issue, our group at least, of waste. I think it's like 40% of food that's produced is wasted. So if you can somehow generate that wasted food and distribute it in such a way that it's not wasteful, then you can still decrease the starvation that you still have a large amount of food that you can distribute, and you don't have to necessarily continue to exacerbate food.
And also the livestock sector is more the anthropogenic land. One of the things that we discussed a lot was how overlooked it is that many times deforestation is used to clear forests for animal and livestock to eat. And so we think that using this land is really focused on humane and sustainable agriculture to intensify the land that we already have rather than expand deforestation while also decreasing factory farms.
So there's lots of ways to get people to change their behavior. I was wondering why you chose like a educational thing and kind of pick those tactics instead of, say, economic tools like putting price on carbon and making it really expensive to put down cars and other tactics.
In general, we thought that when we talked to a lot of, we interviewed multiple players within our constituencies and in the World Bank in general, and we found that there was a sort of a lag in the distinction between agriculture and animal agriculture, and representing animal agriculture as a very unique sector that has unique solutions. So in general, sorry.
So what kind of educational
Oh, yeah,
techniques
okay.
rather than, internalized and externalized costs, right?
Sorry, so then we felt that spreading this awareness of animal agriculture and specific things that are tied to animal agriculture in the climate change dialogue. Furthermore, in our project, we have this inherent conflict between the global south and the global north, and that is implicitly part of the dialogue. So bridging the gap and making sure that our recommendations and what we're discussing incorporates both of them in a way that's fair and equitable was kind of our main goal. So we thought that educational grade materials was an effective way to approach it instead of hard-line policy recommendations that are rather rigid and is debated hotly in the international climate